When you are 16 years old and you drop out of high school or kicked out, and you've been in trouble with the law, and your back's up against the wall, and you can't get a job, you can't go back to school, where are you going to go?
The streets are the answer for many of those young people.
You know, hustling, selling drugs, gambling.
Somebody came to you and wanted a gun. How long would it take you to get them a gun?
About 30 minutes.
When did you join a gang?
When I was 14 and a half. Started a lot of trouble then. Police just started coming around and it just got worse.
Are you still in the gang?
Once you in the gang, you're always in the gang.
Jail and prison are often the next stop.
Going to prison, being in jail is not the answer. The answer is education and opportunity.
Which is 319 of 1,000.
This school in Durham provides that education and opportunity.
I have Latin King, Crips, Bloods, folk.
Have you ever felt threatened?
Never.
It does not matter where you came from. The only thing that matters is where you want to go.
This is the school of last resort for young people in Durham who are living on the edge. About 20% of Durham public school students are suspended at some point during the school year. Some never return. Those students often end up out here on the streets where the odds are greater that they'll go to jail or prison rather than finding a job, a career, or any measure of success. Lamont Moore says he had a good childhood, but as a teenager he started skipping school and getting into trouble. Lamont's father saw the road his son was on because he's traveled it too.
At the age of 15, I was out on the street selling cocaine.
Moore says he tried to discourage his son from following in his footsteps.
I tried to tell him, explain it to him. But like I say, sometimes they had to learn on their own.
When did you join a gang?
When I was 14 and a half.
Why?
I don't know, really. Because back then, everybody you knew was in one, it was cool.
Lamont joined the Crips.
I just had to fight somebody to get in.
Did your mom and dad ever sit you down and say, Lamont, you don't want to be a part of this?
Yeah, they have talked to me. But once you make the decision, that's your decision.
Lamont and his fellow gang members hung out in his grandparents' neighborhood.
Started terrorizing it a little bit. Started a lot of trouble then. Police just started coming around and it just got worse.
Lamont was suspended from Northern High School for trying to stop police from searching a friend's car. So you're calling out the officers, cussing, doing whatever you need to do, being a bad guy. And you get suspended.
For 5 days.
2 days after returning to school, Lamont was suspended again for fighting, this time for the rest of the school year. While suspended, he joined a friend on an armed robbery. His friend shot and wounded the victim. Do you have a gun? Would you have used it?
If I needed to.
Why did you go along with that?
I don't know. That's a bad decision I made.
Lamont pleaded guilty to a conspiracy charge and spent more than 2 years behind bars. When he was released, a parole officer took him back to Durham.
I was trying to get back in Northern at public school, but they wouldn't take me back.
Some friends told Lamont about this place, a program called EDGE. It stands for Education Development, Growth, and Employment. Its goal is to get these students GEDs and get them into college or a job.
They are really special, and they have a lot of potential, and they need this opportunity.
Lamont enrolled last September. He says it's better than his public school was because he gets more individualized attention.
They stay on you in here. You come in late, they gonna get on you.
Lamont says he wants to get his GED, enroll at St. Augustine's College in Raleigh, and play for its football team. Is that realistic?
You can do anything you put your mind to. All you gotta do is try and work hard.
Lamont's dad said he's looking forward to seeing that happen.
You know, throughout all that negative, some good come out of it like that, it'll be a blessing.
Do you feel the pressure of that?
I feel it. I just feel like everybody's on me. and want me to do what I need to do to move forward, so I'm gonna do it.
Hey, it's Miss Fran from EDGE. I'm trying to reach Lamont Moore, so please call me back, Lamont, if you get this message.
But 3 days after we interviewed Lamont at EDGE, he stopped coming to class. Trying to find Lamont. Later, will Lamont return to school and graduate? And how does EDGE's director get gang members to earn their GEDs? You don't look like them,
No,
but they trust you.
yes.
EDGE is not a typical school. There are no PTA meetings or pep rallies. Students aren't dropped off by school buses or parents. Instead, they're often dropped off by city buses or probation officers. Sometimes they don't show up at all, and when they do, they come with a lot of baggage. Tell me about this young man right here.
Oh, he's a blood. He wanted to go to college more than anything in the world, but they put him on house arrest for 3 years, so he hasn't been able to go to college.
It's hard to believe this 71-year-old woman tells gang members what to do.
Nobody else has a hat on in there but you.
Have you ever felt threatened?
Never. There's no stopping you, is there?
And the woman known here as Miss Fran
He was my student back in 2008.
never gives up on her students.
He decided to come back and finish. This is our next generation. Very well. And these kids are smart. They are. It's amazing how bright they are. They didn't drop out because they couldn't do the work. That is not the problem at all.
The problem is living in poverty, with no family structure, no positive role models, and no one pushing them to do better.
A lot of them say they can't read because they've been told they can't read. I don't tell them that. I tell them you can read.
How many is related to what?
Most EDGE students are in gangs and have been in trouble with the law. Many have been referred here by the courts. Most have been suspended from Durham public schools.
If we're really honest with ourselves, we know that there are challenges in our community, and those challenges that are within our community, they come into our schools.
Durham Public Schools has been able to reduce long-term suspensions by nearly 20%. But for many of the students who are suspended, EDGE is the school of last resort. If these kids did not have this school to come to, where would they go?
I don't know.
The streets?
Probably.
So what's the difference in the way you treat these children in this school and the way they might be treated in a public school here in Durham?
I treat them like sons and daughters of kings and queens. I try to treat them like they're royalty. They're really special.
You have to trust in yourself.
For most of their lives, these students have been treated as anything but royalty. Instead, they've been labeled as bad kids, sometimes by the public school system, sometimes by their own families.
Good job.
Got a 40 out of 56.
How destructive is that label?
Very destructive.
How do they get around that?
Well, at EDGE, we say we're changing your label.
What do you change it to?
I change it to success. Winner.
As you, I'm a person with a second chance.
Fran brings in guests like Fox Rich. She's an ex-con and now an author and motivational speaker.
You all in this room are enduring, you are dynamic, you are divine. I don't care where you came from. The only thing that matters is where you want to go, Julia. Amen.
Of the 200 students who've come through EDGE since it started in 2007, 125 have earned GEDs. Fran helps some get jobs and helps others get into either Durham Tech or St. Augustine's. She says 25 of her graduates are currently enrolled in college.
Right here you have the possible offspring, right?
EDGE graduate Stefan Cheston is one of them.
I'm doing good.
This right here are the requirements that you need to submit into the college.
Stefan was one of 4 EDGE graduates to be accepted into St. Augustine's first summer bridge program in 2008. It's a 6-week program that provides intensive tutoring to help prepare students for College 101 courses.
We do realize that maybe their background that they came from may have not been the best background. However, our job is to ensure that we can try to help them not have to return to such a situation.
That's exactly right.
Edge and St. Augustine's turned this high school dropout into a rising college senior, majoring in business administration.
I want to do something in marketing. I like coming up with ideas, marketing schemes for businesses to make money.
Stefan is already the kind of marketing tool Edge needs. How much of a struggle is it to keep it going financially?
It's almost impossible.
Edge has mostly been funded by a federal grant to the city of Durham, but Fran says the grant money has run out.
It's also major importance that you come to school.
When she's not trying to find kids who don't show up for class, or giving them rides to and from school, or taking them over to Durham Tech for GED testing.
All right, let's go.
She's trying to raise money. And you're working 70 hours a week.
Yeah. I've got to keep it going. It's up to me. If it's going to be, it's up to me.
Multiply these two.
Next, how Miss Fran showed one Edge graduate all he could be, and the one thing about him she could not change. Are you still in the gang?
Yes, sir.
Most of the students here at Edge may be gang members, but they'll tell you they're not bad people. Edge helps reveal the difference between the label gang member and the person behind it. Travis Mann grew up with a single mom in a low-income neighborhood in Durham. Christmas morning pretty bleak.
Yes, sir. You know, waking up and you got like one present under the tree, or sometimes maybe none, till tax time, you know.
His mother worked several jobs trying to raise Travis and 3 other children. Here's how she describes him.
Troublesome.
She said Travis was so far ahead of the other kids in school that he got bored.
He would pretty much aggravate his teachers, classmates, people around him that were in school with him.
I could probably say I got into a fight every year in school since I've been in about 5th grade.
He wasn't much better at home.
He don't like rules. For him, rules are made to be broken. They're not to be followed. And if you're in my house, you have to live by my rules.
If you want to stay out all night, stay out all night.
Yeah.
If you didn't want to go to school, you don't go to school.
Right.
Nobody's going to tell you what to do.
Right.
To me, it seemed like I had done all that I could do.
So when he was 16, Travis's mother took a drastic step.
Emancipated me, left me on my own.
Kicked you out of the house.
Yes, sir.
He wanted to be grown. And the only way to teach you to be grown is to be on your own.
Travis moved house to house in his neighborhood, and he joined the Bloods. How come?
Because that's my whole neighborhood. Everybody's a blood.
What was the initiation like?
Pretty much brutal, you know. Just gotta, it's not too much I can say about it, but you just gotta do what what you gotta do. 40 parts gasoline.
Travis says he feels a sense of love and belonging in his gang. And he says not all it does is bad. He says his gang has sometimes helped elderly neighbors pay their bills or buy food. Where'd they get the money?
You know, we used to do a lot of stuff, you know, hustling, selling drugs, gambling.
Somebody came to you and wanted a gun. How long would it take you to get them a gun?
I mean, guns are everywhere.
A day?
Probably even less than about 30 minutes.
Travis was suspended from high school multiple times and never finished.
I knew I could be doing more with myself. It was just like I was disappointing myself every day. Just getting up, not doing nothing with my life every day, just wasting time.
So he came to Edge.
My first couple of weeks there was kind of like rocky because I still wanted to do what I wanted to do. 287.
But he eventually graduated from Edge and was accepted into St. Augustine's Summer Bridge program. He spent 2 years as a student at St. Augustine's and plans to finish his education at North Carolina Central University.
I feel good, because then that means I'm going to have 3 children, hopefully, who graduates from college. That means that they have gone further than I have gone, and that makes me feel real good as a parent.
Miss Fran really inspired me, you know, like, if it wasn't for Miss Fran, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you right now.
Where would you be?
God knows where.
Miss Fran is a true miracle worker. I mean, if she can get my son to do anything, she's truly a miracle worker. If she can do the things that I couldn't do and inspire him to do better, I'm all for it.
He may be on the right path, but Travis is still in a gang and says he always will be.
This gang life is just like, once you're in it, you're in it.
Why can't you get out of it?
Because it's like when you join a fraternity. You know, why would you want to get out your fraternity?
You sure? Travis tries to show that you can be a gang member and still be a good person.
Excuse me.
He volunteers at an HIV clinic his family runs and mentors students at Edge.
And he's actually doing something that makes everybody stand up and say, hey, way to go, Trav. We're all proud of you. We're rooting for you. Way to go.
I could have been in jail, prison, dead, anywhere, but I'm here making the best of my time.
So where is Lamont Moore? Lamont. Hey, Lamont. Edge students get their GED certificates in the mail, but because it's such an important milestone, Edge holds a graduation ceremony to celebrate something its students rarely have the chance to celebrate: success.
Hey, it's Miss Fran from Edge. I'm trying to reach Lamont Moore, so please call me back, Lamont, if you get this message.
It's less than 3 weeks until Edge's graduation, and the young man we introduced you to at the beginning of this program, Lamont Moore, is still absent from class.
I called him several times, sent him text messages, was constantly trying to reach him.
Trying to find Lamont. We tried to find him too. We went by his grandparents' house where he sometimes stayed. He hasn't said anything about not liking school anymore or anything like that.
No, he didn't.
When they're ready, they'll come back.
Last April, Lamont called Fran.
He told me he was ready to come back, and I said, I'm ready for you to come back.
Together we are talking about...
With only 3 weeks left until Edge's May graduation, Lamont returned, and he told us what he had been doing with his time.
Nothing. Just running, have fun, going out, staying up all night, just having fun. Not even worried about school.
The streets pull you in. It's a weird psychology, but they pull you in, and it's hard to break free from it because it's kind of an exciting life out there.
The whole time I won't come, I was still thinking I need to go back because Miss Fran be trying. She helped me a lot, and I was like, I need it.
Program.
Lamont put in extra hours and worked with a tutor to pass the test he needed to get his GED.
The hardest part was thinking if I wasn't going to be able to get all of them done. Other than that, I was just staying motivated.
Okay, I'm gonna follow you. Wherever y'all go.
On May 6th, Lamont graduated from Edge along with nearly 20 other students. The ceremony had all the pomp and circumstance of a traditional high school graduation.
I am a 2008, not that long ago, graduate of Edge program.
The speakers included past Edge graduates, Stefan Cheston and Travis Mann.
Instead of trying to make somebody else proud, make yourself proud, because I know all y'all can do it because I did it. I'm just like y'all.
Motivational speaker Fox Rich issued the charge.
The first thing that I am charging you all to do is to help somebody else get their GED. The second thing that I'm charging you with on this day, great ones, is that you got to take it to the next level. This is just the beginning.
And Duke Law professor James Coleman delivered the commencement address.
Don't waste your time and energy on the people who don't believe in you. They're the same people who said you would fail when you came to Edge.
Walter Lamont Moore.
Come on.
Hi, everybody out here. I want to thank Miss Reddy, that's the best teacher in the world. And I want to thank Miss Fran for calling me, keeping me up, making sure I stay on. And thank my homeboys out there.
This is probably the biggest thing that they've ever done.
But what about the ones that don't make it out of this?
They don't make it out, then they go back on the streets where all your dreams die.
In his commencement address, Professor Coleman pointed out that our state spends almost 3 times as much a year to incarcerate a prison inmate as it does to educate a public school student.
Rather than giving up on students, we should be finding ways to multiply EDGE and put a Fran Alexander in every public school.
How long will you do this?
As long as I can. I love it. Well, what else would I do?
I now declare you 2011 graduates.
I love every one of them.